Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be one heck of an epic workout. It's going to be my final workout for 2025 and I'm here in Louisville, Kentucky, and we're going to be doing a hotel workout. So do we have an extra guest in the background over there? I feel like we just grabbed a little sausage. And what are you going to be lifting today, Ray? You got some squats in mind? Maybe some pup presses. 10 sets of licks. Anyway guys, I'm going to show you through how we do this on the BeFit app. So we have so many programs that you can choose from, all kinds of experience levels, different goals, interests, but the specific feature that I'm going to show you today is the build your own program. So I love this. It's super flexible and allows people that are perhaps a little bit more advanced that want to, I guess, tinker with their own program. So today I'm going to use that tool to build out a custom workout with the hotel equipment that we have here today. So let's head on down to the gym and check it out. Alrighty, so we have made it into the gym and I'm gonna walk us around and kind of go through like the process that I have when I'm in a new environment for how I would actually set up my workout. But before we even do that, I generally think about like what have I also still got to get in for the rest of the week and where am I going to be training? So I follow a structured program. I obviously use one of the programs from my workout app and I know I'm going to be home for the latter part of the week. So I'm very likely going to get 3 other great sessions in with access to all of my normal equipment, and thus I'll be able to get a good amount of volume on the muscle groups that I care about. So in this particular scenario, I have a little bit of flexibility to kind of mix it up, but I'm going to go through the gym, look at these machines and see if there is anything that I'm like, yes, this is a really fun machine, or I haven't done this one before. But I will try generally to stick to the muscle groups that I'm trying to build. So if I'm short on time, I tell you what, I'm not going to be training my calves, I'm not going to train my biceps or my triceps, and I'm probably going to leave back and chest, again, muscles that are less important to me, out of the equation, unless there is a piece of equipment that I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to use that. So let's go for a little tour around this gym and we'll see what we've got. So to start off with, they have a phenomenal selection of cardio equipment, which is actually insane. Normally when I've been to hotel gyms, they might have like 1 or 2 treadmills, but they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a Stairmaster, which is kind of crazy. And then over the back here, they've got 4 ellipticals. This is all stuff I couldn't care less about personally, but sometimes if I am really short on time and maybe I've just got to get a good energy burn or calorie burn in, I might opt for the Stairmaster for like 20 minutes if I was in a competition prep. But in my off season where my goal is to build muscle, I'm probably going to just leave the cardio equipment alone. I'm going to focus on getting the priority movements in, which is lifting weights. So coming over here, we look to have a leg extension, leg curl, or a hamstring curl. So this is a dual multi, I guess, piece of equipment. This doesn't look bad. I'm going to try this, see how it feels. Some of these machines that are like dual, I guess, use don't always feel very good, like the load kind of misloads the muscle group that I'm trying to hit properly. And again, we're all put together a little bit differently, so we'll come back to that, but that's a good option. This one is an abdominal back extension machine. You kind of jump in here and like push yourself forwards and then it pushes you back. I think it's got dual resistance. Probably going to leave this one out. Not something that I would do very often, but if you had like a lower back injury or something that you're trying to recover from, or you're trying to strengthen those muscles, might not be a bad option. This one is a dual chest fly and rear delt machine. Y'all know I'm trying to grow my shoulders, so I think I will probably do this exercise. You could do it unilateral, you could do it bilateral, and I could also flip around if I was interested in training my chest. I might. This might be the one piece of equipment I do chest on today, and I hit a fly. They've also got a cable pull down, which is not too bad. It looks like they've got quite a few adjustments in terms of the benches and the pads here. Sometimes these don't give you good support and thus you end up just cheating and swinging through the rep and it doesn't, allow you to target your back very well. But I think I will give this a crack today if it makes sense. We've still got a little bit to go, so let's keep taking a look. Over to the back wall. Great selection of dumbbells. Again, I'm super impressed. Most of the time, most of the gyms might have like this small little section of dumbbells to work with and the maximum might be like 40 pounds. This goes all the way up to 100 pounds, which is actually great. So I mean, if you were a dude traveling, this gym would be actually pretty reasonable if you were looking to do something on your upper body. I'm sure most men would probably be happy to press 70s, 80s, 90s for an overhead shoulder press, and maybe even get by with a higher rep set of rows or something like that. So very decently stocked in terms of dumbbells. They got kettlebells. I don't use these all that often. I prefer to use dumbbells when I'm training, but for like maybe a single arm overhead shoulder press or something like that, occasionally I'll mix it up just to add a little bit more instability with a kettlebell. You flip it upside down. We've got Swiss balls in the back. I don't really use stuff for core anymore. Most of the core work that I do comes from the big compound multi-joint movements that I'm doing, but they do have a Smith machine. Stoked. This is like, if there was one piece of equipment for any home gym owner, like this would be what I would get, because you can do anything on it. You can do overhead pressing, you can do rows, you can do chest, you can squat, you can lunge, you can hip thrust on this thing. So I think this is one of my favorite pieces of equipment if you were trying to like minimize expenses, but maximize muscle groups trained. So I already know I'm going to use this today. So give me 2 secs. I'm going to think about what I'm actually going to do now that I've seen all the equipment, and then oh wait, hang on. There might be something behind me. Did I miss the cable, guys? I missed the cable. This is excellent. Okay, so this opens up the door to even more options. Now, I was naughty. I forgot to pack my training bag today, so I don't have my cable attachment for my foot. So the foot strap would allow me to do maybe some of the glute exercises like the abductions and the kickbacks, but we can probably wing it just by slipping your foot into the handle. It doesn't feel very comfortable, but it's doable. So the cable's going to add even more variety. That'll allow us to get our glutes in today. Probably a little bit more upper body, a bit more variety, maybe with the shoulders. I'm thinking maybe some rear delt single arm or 2 arm bilateral crossovers. So give me a sec. I'm going to think about it, and then I'll come back and tell you what we're going to do. Alrighty, so starting out, exercise number 1. We're going to use the Smith machine, and the reason that I'm doing that, it's a compound multi-joint exercise. I want to do this while I'm still feeling fresh, and that's simply going to reduce the risk of me injuring myself. Now, when it comes to hypertrophy, and you've probably heard me say this many times before, exercise order doesn't matter. Ultimately, if you put your Smith machine squat at the very end of your session, you are going to see a noticeable drop-off in your performance. So what you might normally do, if it's positioned in number 1 of your exercise lineup, you might lift a little bit more versus what you would do at the end. That is not going to compromise your gains, provided that you're taking those sets to failure. It's just you're training in a more fatigued state. Again, not an issue for muscle growth, but I definitely don't want to injure myself. So I'm going to start here. This is going to target our glutes and our quads. If I had my gym bag here with me, I'd probably throw in maybe the heels elevated just for some variations so that I can target my quads a little bit more, because I would like to move on to the hip thrust to hit my glutes, but I don't have those today. So I'll stick with a regular squat, full range of motion, just concentrating on form and technique. It's been 4 days since I've lifted. I am on vacation, so this is my first lift after a very boozy weekend. We've been doing whiskey tours out here in Kentucky, so we did the Bourbon Trail. So I'm going to be very cautious, load up a little lighter on my first set and just see how I'm feeling. Okay, probably gonna do 2 or 3 warm-up sets. I did one without any weight. You saw me do like 15 reps. It's literally just me warming up because I haven't done anything else this morning. Usually I would do maybe 10 to 15 minutes on the treadmill, but for time's sake today, I'm just gonna warm up on the machine. But I'm gonna do probably 5 reps here at about 50% of my working weight. Then I'll jump to 3 reps, and then I'll probably move right into my working set. So let's do it. All right, okay, so first working set, I'm gonna start a little lighter than what I might usually go for this exercise. So I've got 115 on the bar. I don't worry about adding weight for the Smith machine. I usually just, what am I putting on the weight? Because so many machines have different like loading profiles, so that's how I'll keep track. Usually I would do 145 for sets of 12 to 15, but we're gonna be smart today. So let's jump in. Alrighty guys, okay. Cardio, oh my gosh, 4 days will take it out of you. Okay, so up next we're gonna be doing a hip thrust. Now, as I was scouting around the gym, I did not see a squat pad. So that could be a very unpleasant experience. I don't know about you guys, but for me, if I don't have like 60 layers between my hip bones and the barbell, like I'm screwed. So I think I'm gonna go around and see if we can find a mat. And then I might even layer it with like a towel or something just to see how it feels. Because I do want to target my glute max today. Again, obviously the previous exercise was a glute max and a quad focus, but I want to isolate as well. So generally I'll try to get about 6 sets, maximum 9 on one muscle group. But if I do that, I'm not doing the same exercise. I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to use a little bit of variety because some movements with just slightly different loading profiles, so they might hit that muscle slightly different. Obviously, when you think about your quad, it's not one muscle. We've got multiple muscles here, so different movements will target different regions. So let me go and find a mat and see if this will work. Winning. You know, it's never winning if we have to do hip thrusts. Great point behind the camera. I hate hip thrusts. I really do, but I do them anyway. But I actually like them a lot on the Smith machine. I think for me, I like it in the squeeze. As soon as I get a little bit too much lengthening through the glute at the bottom range of a hip thrust, because of how my pelvis is, it's very tilted. It starts to load the middle part of my back just too much. So I try and stay kind of almost neutral to tucked. As soon as I get into this position, that weight on the barbell over my hip here just loads my lower back. So that's why I like doing the hip thrust in that shortened position or just focusing on the squeeze. Let's roll this bad boy in. Okay, this feels really good, but notice how I'm only going like halfway. This is literally a half rep. Full range of motion to get a big stretch through the glute would be all the way down like this. That just loads my back so much. So I'm gonna stay neutral to that tucked squeeze position. It's very short, but I can absolutely get to failure doing this little partial. So it's like a pulse rep. So I do have this exercise in my app. It's just pulse hip thrusts. Yeah. All right, that's good. Oh, this might be the one where I roll it over. We'll see if that stays. Okay, here we go. So, as you may have heard me say earlier, we have a Build Your Own feature in the BeFit app, which is super unique. So once you go into the application, there's literally a plus button that says Build Your Own, and you give it a title. You can drop a little picture in if you want, just so that you can see like which one is yours relative to all of the other training programs in your library. And then as far as adding exercises, it is so simple. You press the plus button and then you can search based on muscle group. So we have a little filter that allows you to go over and kind of choose choose whether you're looking for at-home exercises or gym-based so that you don't have to scroll through too many movements. And then you can also choose based on the muscle group. So I would have just gone in and looked up glute exercises. I would have found a hip thrust of sorts, added it in, and then it will prompt you how many sets would you like to do, reps, the rest time. You can basically create your own custom program, which is so handy for these types of things. But moreover, you could also just add a program to your current library as well. So if you're currently following a training program, let's say you're doing the hyper-focused glutes, which is my normal program, you can also just go and add an extra day and kind of make sure that you track what you've done. At least that way you'll assign some volume for the week. Or you can simply replace all of the exercises in the current program. So you might still follow the structure where it's quads, glutes, calves, chest, back, or whatever those exercises are, and simply go in and replace those movements with what you do have access to in the hotel. So it's one of the things I think I struggled with the most back in the day, you know, when there were no such thing as apps. Once upon a time there were none. Or if you get a program from a coach, it's very fixed. Like there's no alternatives. Like you can't always access your coach either to be able to sub out those movements. So we've made it as simple as possible so that there is never an opportunity for you to say, oh, I couldn't train because of XYZ. So if you are using the app, I hope you're loving it. And if you've used the Build Your Own feature, I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys too. How are you enjoying it? All right, so set number 2, I'm going up in weight just an itty bitty witty bit. So depending on your preferences, you might like to do your hip thrusts with 8s, you might like to do 10s, 12s. I personally prefer to do higher rep ranges for this exercise. I just feel it in my glutes. Once I start to load up, while it's not necessarily problematic, I do start to feel other muscle groups like helping out, like supporting that movement because the weight is getting really heavy. And I always feel this exercise in my hamstrings. And if I'm being perfectly honest, often the reason that I end up failing the set, so I don't get to my recommended number of reps in the program, which might be 12, it's because my hamstrings have cramped up, or like they are maxed out, but my glutes might still have a little bit of gas in the tank. So for me, I personally am able to isolate my glute max a little more with higher reps, but I'm not saying that that's exactly what you need to do. That's just what I like. I like to feel a good burn in the muscle, so I know that it's actually working what I'm intending it to. So let's do this second set with a little bit more weight. It's interesting, guys, this off season, I probably maintained the leanest physique that I have for an off season. And I think 2 reasons. I've been a lot more just conservative in how many calories I'm eating, and I don't feel like I'm restricting too significantly, to be honest. I'm very mindful of my dietary approach at the moment. I want to be able to maintain a really comfortable body composition. But I'm also open if there are weekends like this where I might go up a few pounds. I have no idea what this weekend has resulted in. I'm guessing maybe 3 pounds or something to that effect. So we've just been eating so many more calorically dense foods. So we had delicious pizza. We had, I don't know, these loaded fries, waffle fries with everything on them. And I've had quite a bit of cocktails. We've had burgers 2 times now. We've been out for breakfast every day, and I had I don't know, bacon, thick cut bacon with all of it. So I'm definitely anticipating a little bit of body fat gain for the holiday. But I think what is attributed to the long-term ability to kind of stay at this kind of lean physique in my off-season is the 10 years of training where I was consistently actively building in my off-season. So I would let myself get a little bit heavier. I had more body fat. And yes, it was uncomfortable in those moments, but I don't regret it because now it's the short-term sacrifice for the long-term gain. Now I have so much more muscle. I'm able to burn more calories at rest, doing nothing, being leisurely on vacation. My body's hungry for fuel because of the amount of muscle mass that I've built over the years. So it then allows me to kind of maintain this kind of leaner physique. So I know a lot of folks will say, I'd really like to kind of maintain how you look in your off season, but they're 2 years into their training. 2 years. Like, I think back to when I was only 2 years into my like bodybuilding journey, I had half as much muscle. In fact, probably, I don't know, a tenth less. Sorry, you know, that's what I wanted and inspired to back then as well. But it's certainly a process and a journey, and you have to be patient with this and not be afraid to put in some time sitting slightly above what you're comfortable with to kind of get ahead. And that's why I feel like I'm here today, because I did the sacrifices back then. So yeah, it's kind of fun. It's the most unusual and strange thing for me as well. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know I could do this. But yeah, that's the reason why. All right, moving on, exercise number 3. We're going to move away, thankfully, from our lower body to upper body. We're going to keep using the Smith machine, take advantage of the ability to load. We're going to do a seated overhead shoulder press. I like to do 2 variations of the shoulder press. Actually, probably there's multiples. I did 1.5 partials. I like it behind the neck. Probably a little controversial, sorry. But if you've got good mobility, great range of motion, I really like just challenging, I guess, my flexibility and developing like a really well-rounded strength, because it does load you, you know, behind your body, which is not a position that you're usually in. So it's difficult. I'll do that at a much lighter weight than what I would usually do for a regular overhead press. But it's nice to have some variety. So I'm not doing that today. I'm going to do a regular overhead press, starting with a warm-up, 5 pounds on the bar. Just hit out a few light reps. Beautiful. Velocity. Slow down. Oh, that was a failure set. I am dying. All right, up next, we're going to move away from the upper body. We do have a chest exercise that I'm going to do next, but since we just hit shoulders, in efforts not to completely bomb out on regular weights, I'm going to move back to our lower body. So I showed you this exercise or this machinery before. I tested it out. I will not be using this for the leg extension. The reason is, it is literally a partial range of motion. I probably get like 70 degrees range of motion, and it doesn't feel comfortable. For some people, that this exercise and this piece of equipment might still feel okay. For me, it was like excessively overloading like the area around my kneecap, with me making all the adjustments on the equipment that I could. So I'm going to scrap it for the leg extension, but I am going to do the hamstring curl. You'll see here when I sit down that the range of motion is still not full range of motion. I'd say it's like 90% the way, but I can still go to failure on this exercise and it still feels really good. So let's jump in. I'm going to do 3 sets of, what does my app say? 3 sets of 15. So let's do it. All right, I went to 20 on that set. Not because I wanted to, I misloaded the weight. So if you're in that position, rather than like, I don't know, getting up out of an exercise where you've had to load weight plates, just keep going until you get close to failure. The rep range is less important than getting close to failure. So in this scenario, I just kept it rolling, but I am going to adjust the weight for my second working set. So the reps will drop back down to what I had prescribed for this program. Okay, in order to keep this somewhat balanced, we're going to move on to the chest. So I was thinking about doing a Smith machine bench press, but we've used the Smith machine several times today already. So just to add a bit of variety, we're going to do this fly. I love a good chest exercise. There are so many women that I've spoken to over the years that are like, oh no, I don't want to train, I'm so tongue-tied today, train chest. I love it. There is nothing more empowering than like getting under a barbell and hitting a PR on a bench press. Like, to me, that is just exciting. Maybe it's the competitive athlete in me. I'm sure some of you guys listening to this are the same, but yeah, I do like to keep a little bit of chest in there just for some variety when there's so much volume on glutes. So I guess for this one, I try to set the, handles just slightly behind so that you get a nice big stretch. Again, there is some limited evidence to suggest that the muscle groups that are biarticulate, meaning they cross over two joints, potentially benefit slightly when it comes to hypertrophy adaptations from training a little bit more in the stretch position. But again, it's kind of mixed. There might be a couple more that favor that at the moment, but time will tell. As we get more studies coming out that are of high quality, we'll have a better idea about that. But for now, I keep a variety in my program and I do things that I enjoy that I can stick to, because there's a lot to be said for enjoyment of your program and consistency over time. So let's jump in.
If it's short range of motion, it might just result in more reps too, right?
If it's what?
If it's a smaller range of motion, you might end up doing 20 reps versus 10 full-range reps.
Absolutely. I don't know whether you could hear what cameraman was saying, but if you do partial range of motion or just something in a shorter range of motion, at least in my experience, like, you're a little bit stronger. So you might just find that you have to end up doing slightly more repetitions, which, again, there's no downside to that. There's obviously a point where it becomes less time efficient, but yeah, that could also be a perfectly reasonable way to do things. It's just, you know, different loading profiles. Those chest fibers. Okay, third and final set. I am not going up in weight for this particular movement. Usually I will try to challenge myself. So with every set, I'll kind of reflect back on that training intensity, that RPE, and I'll make a decision as to whether I need to go up or not. I love to train like consistently at about an 8. Very rarely, to be honest, do I push to a 10. I think part of that is, again, thinking about the longevity of the sport. And even more so when I'm in diet mode, where your recovery is always somewhat compromised. In the off season, I probably am more likely to challenge myself to an RPE 10 for some exercises, but I also want to try and stay healthy. And again, if my primary focus is muscle building at the moment, I'm less interested in being as strong as I humanly can be. I just have to stimulate that muscle enough to get some kind of growth response. So we don't need to be training at a 10 in efforts to do that. So I like to stay healthy. I stay at that 8, and that's why most of my programs, you'll see the RPE usually just hovers around the same. But in a strength program that I write, you definitely see that training intensity increase to, you know, on the final 6 week of a mesocycle, I might push you to a 1 rep max or something that's at an RPE 10 at the very least. So we'll stay the same here for this today. Alrighty guys, moving on to our next muscle group, moving to the back. I saw the cable, I like this machine, it has quite a few good adjustments so we can actually really lock ourselves in with the pads over the knee. Sometimes I'll have to like push my toes up into the pad to like get some stability, because you want to load and lock in here so you're not kind of swaying around, you know, all over the place. So you could do this in so many different ways depending on which areas you're trying to improve. If you're trying to grow that nice V taper, you want to hit something with lats. I generally like to go either a wide grip or anything that's just kind of pronated overhand grip. You could also do a supine grip here, which is going to kind of isolate. You're going to have a little bit more rhomboid juice as well, which is that kind of mid portion of the back. If they had a cable attachment, you could also do close grip. So it really depends on what you've got access to in the gym, but I'm going to hit wide grip today. I've probably been doing, when it comes to my back musculature, I think this program does 1 wide and 1 narrow, and that's it, because I'm not trying to get any more width to my back. I'm just trying to maintain what I have. I think if I started to try and hypertrophy my back, I would end up being critiqued in the category that I compete in as a bikini competitor. So it's all about maintenance, and it just adds a bit of variety to my program, and I do like training back, so let's jump in. This is so low to the ground. I've never had a bench that is like literally 90 degrees from my hips. This is crazy. Oh well, it's good. I'm guessing it's going to mean we've got a good range of motion here. Look at that. Great for anyone with long arms. So I'm going to get my knees under here, nice and snug, kind of press up through my toes just for some extra stability.
There was nothing I could do, right? Nothing I could do, nothing I could do. So sick of calling out and never hearing back. Sometimes it's easier to run and not react. But there was nothing I could do. Tell me what you knew. The world was just so cruel to you. It's hereditary. Forces my never looking back. And that's a fact. Nothing I can do. Yeah, tell me what you knew. The world was just so cruel to you. It's hereditary.
All right, that was really nice. I like that movement. I think the weight that I'm trying to lift is a little too heavy. What do you think, guys? Cameraman's a little too strong for old Holly. I think this might be the last exercise that I do today, not by choice. I would usually want to add another isolation glute medius movement to the end of this program, but I didn't pack my bands. To be honest, I wasn't planning on training. Here we are. And then I don't have my cable attachment, and they don't have the attachments here, and I hate doing a kickback or an abduction just using the handles. So I'm going to be back home tomorrow afternoon. I've got the rest of the week to get all my normal glute medius movements in. So to finish off today's program, I'm going to enter into the app the front standing lateral, it's a lateral raise into front raise with the dumbbells. So there's nothing magical about this over doing just a standard front raise or a standard lateral raise. It's just hitting 2 muscle groups in the same movement. So I generally perform these with a drop set. So I'm going to start with the 15s. My anterior, like my front shoulder, is usually a little weaker towards the end of the session. So I'm going to pick up these lighter weights and just see how many reps I can get out the end, probably as a front raise. So it's a drop set front raise. So let's just dive in. Drop we're gonna go and see the reaction of my dog, Ray. Y'all are probably very familiar with her. She has like the most hype level ever. Hello, Miss Ray. Hello. Hi. Excitement levels. Hi, honey. Hello. Oh, hello. What's up, Justin? Hi, big boy. Hello. Oh. All right, come over here, guys. Let's sit down for a sec. There is so much dog hair. Well, that concludes today's workout. If you guys have any questions about your training, nutrition, anything at all, please by all means drop a comment. I'm always reading those. I love helping people achieve their fitness goals and just ultimately be their best. And if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, maybe you've been thinking about getting some extra support with your own fitness goals, please reach out to me. I do one-on-one coach. It probably makes up the bulk of everything that I do. I think it's like 45 hours of my week. And then the rest is all of the training stuff in the app. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's workout. Certainly a little bit different from my final workout of the year. Usually I'm at home training in the warm, balmy Tampa, Florida. It is literally like, I don't know, 20 degrees outside here in Louisville, Kentucky right now. I haven't, which feels like 1 according to my phone. So for anyone that's like used to Celsius, we're talking like heavy minuses, like probably minus 15. I'd have to double check that, but it would be close to like minus 15. Which is just freezing. I have not been outside yet and I don't know that I want to, but we're going to be going on many more whiskey adventures today. I have a fur coat, it is that cold. So definitely gonna be bundling up and getting some good food, trying some more whiskey. This is day number 4 of my trip and I can't wait to go and try some more. So thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have an amazing New Year's. Please stay safe and I will see you in my next video.